guess we'll get to the fun stuff, which would be latching. I know a lot of people have questions about latching. If you have questions that I don't cover, feel free to leave a comment and I'll try my best to answer any questions. So when you're latching, number one, you need to get comfortable before you feed your baby. If you're not comfortable, you're not gonna have a good feeding. So you don't wanna be leaning into the baby. You don't want to be like sideways to this way. You don't wanna be all kinked up, because that's gonna hurt your back. And whatever position you're in for an extended period of time, you're gonna end up trying to readjust yourself. When you readjust yourself, it's gonna readjust the latch. And readjusting the latch can pull the nipple out. It can cause the baby to be like, what's going on? And then pop off and end the feeding because they're frustrated. You get comfortable in whatever position it is and then bring the baby to you. So when you bring the baby to you, you want to make sure that you're holding and supporting as best as you can. Thumb underneath one ear and a V around the other ear. Arms up, which can be very difficult, and you may need somebody to help you because these babies' arms are very difficult to get out of the way. But anyways, one arm under the breast, one arm over the breast. So you want them to be hugging. That's going to get them as close as possible with no barriers between. This arm here is going to pull that much. There's a gap. This arm here, under here, and bringing them in, you're creating this much of a gap. And that much of your nipple and areola is not going to be in the baby's mouth, and that's going to create a shallow latch. Get those arms up and over and around, hugging, to get as close as you can to latch that baby on as well as possible and as deep as you can. So when you're going to latch the baby at that point, you want to let them tilt their head back themselves, and then you want them to come in chin to breast first. What you want to do is chin to breast, you want to do an asymmetrical latch, which means more of the areola on the top and out of the mouth, more of the areola in the bottom in the mouth. So you're gonna go chin to breast first, down, nipple pointed to the nose, okay? Chin into the breast first while you're squeezing the breast to compress down, because that's gonna be able to allow the baby to conform the breast into what can actually fit into their mouth. So you're gonna cup the breast and hold it, squeeze it down, chin to breast, nose to nipple, up and over and onto the nipple, and then into the mouth. And then you want to keep holding that breast as long as you can, compress down to make sure that they get it in there as far as possible and get that deep latch going. The first couple seconds or so, maybe 30 seconds, maybe up to a minute, may feel a little bit uncomfortable. After that, if it's still uncomfortable, it's not a good latch. At that point, you want to stick your finger, whatever finger you want. I like my pinky finger, in the corner of their mouth to kind of squeeze in there and get in, just to break that suction, and then you can remove your nipple. Because if that baby's suctioned on and you just try to tuck your nipple out, they're gonna get that caught on their gums, they're gonna compress down, they're gonna chomp down on it, and it's gonna hurt. So make sure you break that seal before you remove the nipple from the mouth. Okay. Positioning wise, you want to always make sure that your baby's ear, shoulder, and hip are aligned. That's going to make sure that they're nice and straight and that they're not kind of turned out. Because if you try to take a drink and you're kind of like this, it's difficult to drink from. Now, if you're kind of twisted and trying to take a drink, it's difficult. If your chin is down here and you're trying to drink a drink, it's kind of difficult. Now, if you're back here and you're trying to drink, it's kind of like, what's going on here? So you want to make sure that your baby is nice and straight, nice and close to you, and in alignment. You want their jaw to drop down as much as they can. So if you, I'm sticking my hands in my mouth. I'm sorry. Here, let me see. There was another IBCLC that posted this, Lucy Ruddle. She's wonderful if you want to follow her. This was a trick that she posted and I loved it. So what you do is say, this is your nipple. If you're going to go onto the nipple, and then you can kind of feel. So if you go straight on, you can feel the palate and the top of your mouth, which is a hard spot. So you don't want your nipple to be compressed between the tongue and the hard palate. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna give you that misshapen, flat, angled nipple. If you can see there. So you don't want that. So now if you do the same thing and you allow the baby to drop their head back, nose to nipple, chin to breast first, you're gonna get a nice wide angle, and if you feel in the back of your throat, you're gonna hit that soft palate, and that's where you want the nipple to be, because that's flexible, that's nice and deep back there, and it's not gonna hurt, it's not gonna compress the nipple, and the baby's gonna be able to easily transfer the milk from the breast without kind of drinking through a straw. Which if the nipple and the palate and the tongue are kind of all compressed down, kind of blocks and pinches it off, and kind of like feeding through a pinched straw. So there's that. So you want to make sure that jaw drops down, that nose is pointed up towards the nipple, the baby's head drops back, chin to breast first, up and over the nipple. And that's how you want to make sure. Then you want to look and make sure that the lips are kind of flanged out. Now, I'm just telling you all this stuff to kind of link landmarks to figure out what works and what to look for. I don't care what a latch looks like. If it does not feel good, if it feels painful, if your baby is not transferring milk, not gaining weight, and not getting adequate intake, it's not a good latch. End of story. I don't care if it looks amazing with nice wide open angles and flanged out lips and it looks perfect. It doesn't matter if it hurts. It doesn't matter if the baby's not gaining and transferring milk efficiently. It's not a good latch. So these are just some things to look for. Like I said, the top of the areola, you want to be more out with their nose, and then the bottom, you want more into their mouth. You want their cheeks to be nice and full and chunky and wide, like you're getting a nice big burger in there. You don't want them to be kind of like dimpling in when they're sucking, because that's kind of, again, like drinking through a straw. So if you see there's, you know, they're dimpling, it's not that you don't have enough breast tissue in the mouth. So how do you get more breast tissue in the mouth if your baby's latched on and you don't want to mess anything up or whatever? So here's some just simple tricks that you can do. Now, when you're supporting your baby and your baby is to the breast and their nose is, you know, a little bit away, and it also helps if you're afraid that your baby's nose is too close to the breast. At this point, you can push the baby's shoulders in below, and that gets them closer and their chin deeper into the breast, but it also pulls their nose a little bit away. You still want their nose to be very close to the breast, okay? They're gonna be able to breathe. There creates a little gap there, okay? So their nose and their nostrils are kind of in a triangle there, and they're able to breathe. So they're nice and close to the breast, and then when you pull them in closer, that opens up more air, but that also creates where they can dig their jaw nice and deep into the breast. And that's how you know the baby is really getting a good feeding, is if you see this circular rocking jaw motion where they're digging into the breast tissue, and then you'll notice in their jawline that they're kind of swallowing, and then you can hear them kind of go and they're like suckle, 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 suckle. Big jaw movement, suckle, 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 suckle. Big jaw movement, and you'll listen to those. And it can be very difficult in the first few days with colostrum to hear those, and as the milk transitions over to mature milk, it's much easier to hear. Those are things you want to watch for, along with your baby being content after feedings. I know if your baby's on and it's still feeling pinchy or it's uncomfortable, you never want to feel pain, you never want to feel pinching or anything like that. You want to feel a gentle tugging. So if the baby's on the breast, which I'm just going to have to show you without the breast because I don't have enough hands. If the baby's on the breast and you notice that their bottom lip is kind of like tucked in, you don't want it to be tucked in, you want it to be nice and flanged out, then you can kind of reach your little finger in between the breast and the baby and just stick your finger in there and kind of take that and flip the lip out and kind of gently pull the jaw down. And by doing that, you're flanging the lip and you're opening the jaw up so they're able to get deeper on there and get more breast tissue into their mouth. So that little adjustment can be difficult when you're holding onto the baby. So sometimes this is a great job for a family member or your partner or an older child or whoever is available to kind of go in there and just sneak in and try to flange that lip out and drop that jaw. And at that point, once they're on, if their upper lip is kind of tucked in, you can just kind of pull their little lip out and they're able to suction on better. So you kind of want like the duck lips. You just want the nice full open lips. Sorry, it's the best way to show you. Those are things to look for.